and welcome to the Global Business Group, where we aim to unlock the potential of international business, providing unique local business solutions internationally. We specialize in business advisory, import and export opportunities, market entry, investments, and funding to help you achieve your business goals. Now, let's get into today's business day.
All right, welcome everyone to this new edition of Business Day. Today about coffee, so I'm really excited. But first, let me just give you a quick overview who is presenting this show today. We are 26 associates from around the world doing business together since 2020. We are called the Global Business Group. Our mission is to improve the business of our associates and partners, and to make international business as easy, as transparent, and as human as local business. The Global Business Group is active in 4 different areas: business advisory, our consulting arm, in import-export opportunities, market entry services, investment, and funding opportunities. If you want to know more about the Global Business Group, head over to globalbusiness.group or quick.ac/GBG. And without any further ado, I'm handing over to our sponsor, Sriharsha from the UK, to introduce our guest. Sriharsha, over to you.
Hi, thank you, Derek. I welcome everybody for the Business Day from UK. And I have a wonderful guest today, and who is the pioneer in the coffee. So he's got an amazing concept of coffee. It's just not the normal coffee that what you get into it. There's so much of thought process has gone in from choosing the right coffee from across the world till the packaging, which is very unique and can be picked up off the shelf. So I request Steve to present his coffee and his company and his growth. And he's also looking to raise some funds for his idea, which it's already in the market. So over to Steve.
Hi, Sriharsha, and hi, everybody. Thank you very much for that lovely introduction there, Sriharsha. That's very, very kind of you. My name's Steve. I'm going to start sharing my screen now, and we'll run through my presentation. If I talk a little bit quickly, or if my accent's a problem at any point, please do shout up. I know that sometimes people do struggle with the speed that I talk at, so apologies in advance. Apologies, I'm just trying to get the screen share working there. Okay, here we go. So as I say, my name's Steve McNichol, and we're going to be talking today about craft coffee, or what we refer to certainly as craft coffee, and eco-friendly packaging, which is something that we're working to pioneer here in the UK. I'm Steve. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Cloudgate Coffee. Before I started Cloudgate Coffee, I spent time training as a chef. Then through my time in chefing, I got into the wonders of mixology and all those fantastic things, developed my palate and really enjoyed mixing flavors together to create something quite unique. I've had a love for coffee since I was very, very young. I was raised by 2 very wonderful, strong women, my mum and my gran, both of whom worked for Rowntree's here in the UK. This is back in the days before Nestle bought Rowntree's out, and at that point Rowntree's did proper coffee, not the horrible stuff that comes in jars now with funny smells added to it. I grew up with my gran making pots of coffee every morning, and it was just the most wonderful thing, and it's something that stuck with me throughout my life. So as time went on, I found myself being pulled in that direction. I work with a chap, my business partner, John Sims. John is our master roaster. John was born in Chicago and very quickly moved across to New York. His dad was a Wall Street trader, so he's got quite strong ties with the US. Because of his dad's background, he moved to the UK to study business at the London Business School. John has learnt from some of the best roasters in the UK. He's been roasting for close to 20 years now. I'm just a junior with my 12 years of experience. He's a wonderful, wonderful guy, and he's an absolute pleasure to work with. Our standards. So within Cloudgate, we believe that, very simply, every cup of coffee should be outstanding. There shouldn't be limitations set by budget or location. High street coffee just doesn't do it for me, I'm afraid. And as the message says on the screen, nobody sets out in life to be average, so why settle for less than great coffee? High street chains in the UK and around the world are notorious for producing coffee which is, how can I put this, of a taste which is a little bit bitter, mostly padded out with Robusta, which is very, very cheap kind of coffee, which is very, very highly caffeinated and is a lot of the time what gives people the jitters when they drink coffee. We don't work with Robusta. Everything that we use is 100% Arabica. The other key to our brand is we look at our impact. We, coming into the coffee industry, when John and I founded our business, decided very, very quickly that the coffee market is a very, very dirty industry. The coffee belt stretches around the equator, and there's no way to get away from the fact that coffee is going to be imported to its end destination by the ships or by air, and those things cause pollution. The roasting process tends to run off either gas or electricity, both of which cause pollution. In addition to that, coffee packaging is something that creates wastage, particularly here in the UK. Unfortunately, in the UK, we're a little bit behind other parts of the world where recycling is a little bit more commonplace. Most coffee packaging is made from 3 layers. There's a paper layer, which looks nice, foil to keep things fresh, and plastic on the inside, which helps to seal the bags and keeps everything as it should be. In the UK, other than by TerraCycling, any bag that goes into general waste will end up in landfill, and we wanted to combat that. Because we can't take away from some of the other areas, what we try to do is focus on the things that we can control to create a better industry. And we look at things like the farms that we work with. Are they stripping rainforests in order to produce more coffee? That's not a great thing. Are they using too much of the local supply of water because it's run by large organizations? And we try not to work with those people. I'm going to come to our packaging solution very, very shortly. Moving on, I'll give you a very, very brief history of Cloudgate. John and I first met in 2016, working on a project where John already had a coffee company and was doing very, very well for himself as a roaster, but he was, and I'm sure he would admit this if he was here, he was lacking in other skills such as the marketing aspect, the business aspect. And while he is very, very good at creating blends, etc., he hasn't quite got the refined palate to take things to the next level. John is very, very old school and roasts using the old methods where he doesn't just plug a laptop into his roaster, press a button and wait for the coffee to pop out the other side. We refer to that as microwave roasting, and that's not what we're about at all. John uses his senses, his eyes, his ears, listening for the first crack to basically make sure that the coffee is as good as it's going to be. Following through to 2019, John and I had worked on several projects together, delivering fantastic produce for a number of customers who were very, very satisfied with the work that we did. And we decided at that point we'd be daft not to partner, and we founded Cloudgate Coffee. In February of 2020, we reached agreements with 2 multinational hospitality businesses to become their sole coffee suppliers. And off the back of that, very quickly signed a lease on a second premises. Unfortunately, 3 days after we signed that lease and a month into our agreements with the 2 hospitality businesses, lockdown was declared in the UK. Without wanting to tell you a sob story, I'm sure you can imagine that impacted us quite dramatically. We eventually managed to get our second site open on the 31st of October 2020, and unfortunately 5 days later had to close down again. So we haven't been without our fair share of challenges, and what we've done with those challenges is we've turned those into opportunities. Anytime we've had a setback, we've looked at what's caused that setback, and we've taken the time and the opportunity to actually continue to develop our craft, and to go on and think of something better that we can do to better the coffee industry, whether that's working with global partners who work directly with small farms, such as our coffee partners in Africa who work with wonderful roasters in Uganda and Tanzania, or whether it's working with the Green Bean Collective who have reach in places like Thailand and Myanmar, and places like that, which is wonderful. We also started working on things like fitting afterburners to our coffee roasters. So we were taking away as much of the pollution from our roasting process as we possibly could, on the scale that we can. We recently, this year, launched a new wave of products within our sector, and I'm going to come on to talk about that in the next couple of slides. So this is where we started out. As Cloudgate, when we started out, we started with the packaging, the first set of packaging that you see there. That is a very traditional coffee bag, which will all be pretty common with if you're common coffee drinkers out there. The label, you've got a wonderful flag on there, which is brilliant. You've got a very tall bag with what we refer to as a rip, zip and valve. Now, those bags look great. They're fantastic for being able to brand up. The problem with them is they're just not recyclable. When we started purchasing those bags, we wrongly thought that they were. What we didn't realize was it comes down to the area in which things can actually be recycled. And in the initial stages, those bags aren't formed with the the rips to reseal the bags and the valves. Once those valves are added, it's impossible to recycle those bags in the UK without moving on to TerraCycling. That in and of itself wasn't good enough for us. We then moved on to the second example that you can see there, which again claimed to be compostable bags. It was only when we received those bags and realized that they didn't seal properly, so they weren't tamper-proof, and actually tried to compost them ourselves, that we realized that they took up to 4 years to actually be able to compost. That's not a good enough solution for us, I'm afraid. In the interim, what we decided to do was to reduce our impact until we could come up with something better. And that's why we moved to the much smaller bags that you can see in the third image that we've got there. We weren't quite satisfied with that as a solution, but at least taking away 40% of the damage from what we were doing was better than nothing. Moving on, we came to the conclusion that we would try and get away with cardboard tubes. The cardboard tubes that we used were very, very friendly to be able to label, etc. But they just don't keep things fresh for long enough. We used those, our outlets, where people could come and actually refill their packaging, which worked for some, but unfortunately didn't work on a national or an international level. In the meantime, we made a commitment to actually starting to work with our wholesale partners to be able to, such as cafes and restaurants, to be able to come up with something better for them. And at that point, we came up with two solutions. One was the churns that you can see in the middle picture. Those hold between 3 and 4 kilograms. They look lovely. They're great to display, very traditional in the sort of Yorkshire style of milk churns, etc. And people love them. Those weren't quite good enough for some of our larger customers. So as you can see, my daughter Josie there modeling, we came up with these wonderful white vats, which are essentially very, very large paint tins, which we had food safe inside coatings added to. That means that we could then quite comfortably deliver up to 10 kilos in each one of those to our customers. For every one of those that we delivered, we ultimately saved 10 bags from going into landfill. And to me, that can only be a good thing. Unfortunately, we still didn't think that was good enough. The next evolution for us is what you can see there. That is what we've launched in 2020 of this, in June and July of this year. Sorry, 2020. What we decided to do was, having worked quite closely with the craft brewing industry in the UK, was we decided that there must be a better way. And working with a friend of ours, Cameron from Turning Point Brewery in the north of England, we started looking at the possibilities of putting whole bean and ground coffee, as well as our teas and hot chocolates, into beverage cans. It was quite a process to reach that point. It's not as straightforward as you would think. There's some quite heavy duty machinery involved in that, and there's some stereotypes around the coffee industry that we had to overcome to be able to get people to accept our packaging. What I can say is I'm very proud of what we achieved, and it's lovely to be able to sit here today with one of our cans in front of us containing beans that I'll be opening as soon as this call's finished. The cans are 100% recyclable, and they look great. Another problem within the retail sector of the coffee industry has been the fact that coffee bags, although they can look fantastic, they're not very shelf friendly. A coffee bag can sit there, but they can't be stacked. On the other hand, you can quite comfortably take two coffee cans, stack them on top of each other, pop them on the shelf, and you're doubling your ability to be able to display products. The development that's gone into our coffee cans, we're very, very proud of. There's been a number of factors to consider. First of all, traditionally, coffee comes in either 250 or 227 grams, as well as kilo supplies. We've had to change people's thinking on that ever so slightly, and now we produce coffee in 200-gram cans. Effectively, if somebody wants to buy a 4-pack, that would be 800 grams, and if somebody wants to buy a 6-pack, that would be 1.2 kilograms. We're linking that very, very closely to the craft beer industry, and people are used to buying those quantities in the UK. We've also given a nod to the craft brewing industry by adding this on the back. No longer do people just have to ask for a number 4 roast or a dark roast. They can actually look at how that coffee is going to taste, and we grade our coffee based on bitterness, sweetness, acidity, intensity, body, and complexity. That gives people a really, really good idea of what they're actually going to get when they open a can of Cloudgate coffee beans. This is how the coffee looks once it's opened. They look absolutely fantastic. The feedback that we've had is great. The picture on the right shows what happens when you open the cans. We have 360-degree apertures on the top. Because the cans are pressurized, as you open them, the beans slide to the top of the can, and it gives that wonderful kind of presentation of the actual coffee. You may be able to see on the left-hand side there what we've produced as a simple solution to being able to reseal the cans, which was one of the main objections that we had, was these wonderful corks. What we've done is we've branded those, and something as simple as that, again, helps to keep your coffee fresh, allows for a small amount of degassing in the coffee if there's anything left in there, if you so choose, and creates a scenario where you're not having to transfer that into another container and put your can in the bin straight away. Effectively, what you've got is a mini coffee caddy. So just to give you some quick statistics on the UK coffee industry, over the past 3 years, an average of £750 million worth of green beans have been imported into the UK each year. And in 2020, the UK imported over 5 million 60 kilogram sacks from around the world. UK coffee consumption in 2018 was 70 million cups per day. In 2021, that topped 100 million for the very, very first time. What that shows is coffee is still a very growing market. History has told us that when we hit times of recession, as we find ourselves unfortunately in today, people will quite happily stop eating out. They'll quite happily stop consuming alcohol. What they won't give up is their coffee. People love coffee. Looking at the coffee industry in itself, in 2021, the UK branded coffee shop market was valued at 4.4 billion. That is quite a sizable chunk of money to be invested in a single industry in the UK. In 2020, the same market valued at, I've lost the side of my screen. Anyway, sorry, apologies. It shows that there was significant growth. New wave coffee, or craft coffee as we like to refer to it, added further 1.5 billion pounds during 2021. Essentially, even during years affected by coronavirus and other pandemics in the UK and the beginning of a recession, the coffee market in the UK was still worth £6 billion and showing growth. So what does the future hold for Cloudgate Coffee? One of the reasons that I'm here today is I'm looking to make new trade relationships. As I say, we're very keen to work with people around the world who have fantastic new supplies. We've recently worked with a couple of people to increase the representation of origins in the UK, such as one of my contacts, Matt, who is now the largest importer of Sri Lankan coffee into the UK, and we are helping Matt to establish Sri Lanka as a recognised origin for coffee. We've also worked with the Green Bean Collective and Omwani Coffee to make some origins such as Uganda and Tanzania more favourable rather than just the traditional African markets, etc. And we're always keen to look at new ways to import coffee and new relationships to strike up. Similarly, new origins. Our friends at Omwani recently ran a pilot with coffee from places such as Malawi, and they were one of the first producers to bring coffee from Malawi to the UK. Absolutely delicious and in micro lots, but it's exciting, you know, and it's something which could change the coffee market in the UK. New markets. So talking about new markets, we have been talking to a number of people about our fantastic cans. And we've had interest from places such as Germany. John's from the US and has been talking to friends and business contacts in the US about actually taking Cloudgate to the US. And we're very, very keen to explore those avenues. The other thing that we're looking to do is take on custom equipment. At the moment, every can that we produce, we're producing essentially by hand. We have limited canning equipment. We're manually labeling, manually sealing, and manually gas filling our cans. That's a fantastic hands-on approach to any form of packaging. However, it is very labor intensive. We've been discussing with some canning line producers in the UK ways to come up with a custom system to be able to actually produce our product, which will increase our capacity and ability to increase our market share within the wholesale industry, and that is ongoing. As you can imagine, these sort of things are very, very expensive, and because it's not something that's really been done before, the development that needs to go into that is quite significant. I'll stop there. I'll take any questions that anybody's got. I'm very, very keen to make relationships with anybody who's willing to talk. I have a real love for coffee and good produce. Similarly, if I can help anybody make any introductions, I'm more than happy to do so.
Hi, Steve.
Oh, hi. Sorry, I'm not catching the name. Who am I speaking to, please?
Lenka.
Hello there.
Lenka. Steve, I'm in South Africa, but I'm working globally. I am busy working with the Hungarian University of Agriculture. Okay. And interestingly so, they have projects all over the world. And one of the things they are working on is coffee, green coffee beans, and they're helping to develop different areas. They're currently working with coffee suppliers in Laos, and we are also working with some suppliers in Uganda. So I would pretty much like to maybe put you and Matthew in the same room together so that you guys can talk. At the same time, I also have somebody else who might be interested in your coffee in South Africa. And he has got connections in the USA. I don't know where it will go, but maybe we can have a look into that. So if you have a marketing brochure or something with information, that would be very good. And I would also require a quotation for the coffee, FOB quotation.
Fantastic. That would be absolutely brilliant. If you would be kind enough, if you would drop me contact details, I will arrange for the marketing information to be popped across to you as soon as I get back to our roastery.
Who invited you, Sriharsha?
It was Sriharsha, yes.
Yes. So Sriharsha's got all my details. We all work together on this, and just speak to Sriharsha and we'll set it up together.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much.
Awesome. I think it's a really nice product. You have a very nice marketing idea, especially with a new evolution of the cans.
Thank you.
And I see a lot of movement in the Swiss market, coffee market. The Nespresso dominance is just being fought on with a new supplier coming onto the market. So there's some movement that's in room for new ideas. And I'll talk to you and Sriharsha offline to continue and see what we can do here.
Steve, I have a client who is also into coffee brewing. So they pack and they sell it. Do you see a collaboration possible for introducing new brands and you guys work together or something like that? Is that something, because India is a big market and they've also grown very rapidly in last 2 years, 3 years. They used to have their own cafes and then they moved into online marketing.
Sure.
And since then, their business is like skyrocketing and every month their business is growing very aggressively. So new flavors, new products, maybe a good idea. I don't know. Do you want to have a discussion with them? Then me, Sriharsha, we can always talk to them.
That would be fantastic. Thank you very much. I would very much welcome that conversation.
Harsha, I will have a meeting arranged. You let me know when Steve is free. Then I will also get my client and then we can discuss about the collaboration opportunities.
Yeah, let's do that. So as part of our consulting division of GPG, if we see how we can actually grow this coffee business across the globe with the connects. So I think that's what we need to do it. And let's see if there is any investors who's going to be interested and take this to the next level.
Steve.
Hi.
Yeah, Steve, this is Garvin in Onaba, this in Uganda. Very interesting presentation. Who are you working with in Uganda right now?
We're working with a company called Omwani. They work with farms near the Ruwenzori Mountains.
Okay.
And we're importing a coffee which is locally known as African Moon. It's a very, very beautiful natural process coffee. They produce 2 or 3. They also do one called Donzoko's Dream, I think it is, which is beautiful. Again, I can quite happily forward the contact information from the guys at Omwani to be able to make that connection.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for that, because I think there might be some other opportunities for you in northern Uganda. Mountains of the Moon is Western Uganda, but there's some opportunities in northern Uganda supporting women's groups who grow lots of coffee. So
absolutely,
just another outlet. Yeah.
Definitely, and that's something that we're very, very keen to explore. Last year, we pledged 20% of our profits to go towards women's charities here in the UK. And we did that by basically purchasing women-produced coffees from around the world and selling those as a collective pack. So that's something that we're very, very keen to explore. So thank you, yes.
Awesome. We've got 2 more minutes. Jacek?
Steve, thanks for the nice presentation. My question is, which markets are you targeting? From your presentation, I understand both, which is retail market and restaurants and cafeterias, yes? So
Absolutely.
My question is, who are you looking for? General distributors, agents in other countries, yes, if you go abroad?
Yes, absolutely. So it would be agents and distributors in other countries if we were looking to export abroad.
Okay. If we have half a minute, can you tell us why Arabica, not Robusta? Not every one of us is a coffee lover.
No, absolutely. So in the coffee market, there's Arabica and Robusta. Robusta tends to be a much bigger and cheaper product. It's also significantly more caffeinated. It can be up to 15 times more caffeinated than Arabica. So quite often, people who aren't used to drinking coffee or mild to average coffee drinkers, what they tend to find is When they get the shakes or when they get that indigestion feeling from coffee, that's coming from the Robusta rather than the Arabica. I'm not saying Robusta is terrible. There is a place in the world for it. There's a place in the world for everything. But it isn't for us. There's always been a little bit of feeling around Robusta that you need it to create a crema on top of coffee. And we've proven over time that that's just not true. You can achieve the same thing with good Arabica coffee.
How about taste? Robusta is more sour to what I know.
To me, Robusta is very bitter. And what you tend to find is because it's a lesser quality product, it tends to be from cooperatives and it's less controlled. So the quality tends not to be the same. So you tend to find that Robusta is roasted darker. And what you find from that is it's to disguise a lot of the imperfections.
Maybe last question.
Well, let's
how much is
you take this offline. We are just on the hour. And if you have any further questions, please contact Steve or Sriharsha at uk@globalbusiness.group. And they're more than happy to respond to your questions. Thank you very much for joining us today. And looking forward to meeting you next week.
Thanks for joining in. We'll see you at the same time next week. In the meantime, be sure to check out our website, www.globalbusiness.group. The Global Business Group, making international business easy.